Hey guys, and welcome to Real Estate Confessions, where real estate, cultura, and generational wealth collide. We are three real estate girlies spilling the tea, closing deals, and confessing everything. Yes, you heard that right. Everything. Including all the messy stuff no one posts about, from wild client stories to wealth building wins. Nothing is off limit here, so let's confess. To start us off, Rosalind, who are you and what are you doing here?
I'm Rosalind Astorga. I mainly do commercial. I'm the daughter of hardworking immigrant parents that did not believe in child labor laws. So I grew up collecting rent, dealing with tenants, and calling for sale signs for my parents because they were paisa. I mainly became a broker to bridge the gap between Latino business owners not owning real estate, and I highly encourage everyone to invest in commercial real estate.
Awesome. And what about you, Nayeli? Who are you and why did you get started in real estate?
Hi, my name is Nayeli Perez. I've been a real estate investor since 2016, real estate broker for 5 years. I'm a single mom, first gen. I'm an eldest, but also a middle daughter, and I'm here to basically help people build wealth through real estate.
Nice. And last but not least, I'm Esme, a proud first-gen Latina and your chill girl real estate agent. I got into real estate because my family never owned a property. And I really got into it because I wanted to get out of the apartments we lived for over 10 years and just building wealth through it. So I'm glad that I got to help my families purchase in 2023. And I figured out very quickly that I can do this for so many other families that were in the same situation my family was once in. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here. And to get us started, we're kicking off our very first episode with someone who is super important in the real estate transaction. And that is?
Lenders.
A lender, yeah. That's right. We have Aaron joining us today to talk all things about financing pre-approvals and what buyers need to know in this 2025 market.
So, Aaron, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in real estate.
Awesome. Yes, I definitely am excited to talk to you guys today. But before I get into that, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to do this. I know you guys all have very busy schedules, and I've been following a few of you on social media for some time now, and I see the hard work that you guys do. So again, this is great. This is excited, and being the first guest. I hope
You
I
made
set
it.
the
That's
tone.
good.
But okay, can we repeat that question though? Because I forgot it with my random.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in real estate.
Got it. Yes. So as I mentioned, my name's Aaron Neuroga. I am from Joliet. I have been in lending about 5 years now. And the way that I got started, it was actually my brother, my older brother, Johnny. I'm not sure if you guys know him. He's been doing this about 10 years now. I come from truck driving, so I was a CDL driver. I used to drive for FedEx. And don't get me wrong, I love the job. It's an awesome job. I love driving. I miss driving. But after a while, I just started to see what he was doing, the connections he was making, the paychecks he was bringing home, So,
It's super important.
I looked at that and I'm just like, okay, I'm sitting in a truck 10, 12 hours a day talking to myself. And it's when I started responding to myself that it's like, you know what, it's time to go. It's time to go talk to people. So, as you guys mentioned, I'm in lending. So very crucial part when it comes to financing a home. This is where you kind of set up your buyers to know, what your down payments are, what your down payment assistance programs exist, how much you can qualify for, because, I have had situations where people start home shopping, fall in love with the house, but now I'm telling them, hey, you can't afford it, or you need a cosigner, or, X, Y, and Z. So, yeah, it's a little bit about what I do on my day-to-day.
So I bet you had a situation like that a client had fallen in love with the home and then you pre-approve them and they just come to find out that they can't even afford the home.
Right.
How did you deal with that? Or tell us an experience that...
Give us your worst transaction.
Yeah.
The worst transaction?
Yeah.
Well, there was actually a deal that we had to save. The buyer, and I'm still trying to figure out to this day how it happened, but they came to me with a contract. They came to me with a contract, and I'm like, well, how did you like? Did the listing agent not ask for a pre-approval, or what happened? Like, she's like, well, I don't know, but I'm under contract and I need this house. I'm like, okay, well,
That's great.
let's start with your name. You know, what's your name? You know,
Hi.
what's your address? You know, so we started structuring, and at the end of it, she didn't qualify. It was above her income, you know, for what she could afford. Luckily, there was a cosign, you know, that was able to come in. You know, it was a little bumpy, right? And I hope it never happens again. That's why I'm glad you guys are doing what you're doing, trying to get that information out there, because very important, right? Very important to make sure that, you know, you have these numbers when you're out there, because maybe you're not going to have a cosign, right? Maybe you're not going to have somebody to come and save the deal last minute. And something very important, as you guys know, when you sign that contract, you're obligating yourself to that. You know, you're putting yourself in a position where you give that earnest money, or you do this, or you do that, and now you're at risk of losing it. You know, so that's why very, very important. Please reach out to myself, or, you know, whoever you work with. Make sure you get that pre-approval letter.
So you did close.
Yes.
Okay.
A little longer than we needed to. Luckily, I have a great team behind me. You know, we communicate well. Attorney was fantastic on that end, you know, but yes, we ultimately got to the closing table.
See, I think especially with our Hispanic community, we get a lot of people who just show up. I've had people just show up, like I'm doing a showing and they're outside and they're like, oh, or can I see the house?
Yes.
And I'm like, hi, like I don't know you and I need to get you pre-approved. I need to know who you are, because for all I know, you're a serial killer.
Right.
And you want me to show you this house? I think the heck not. Okay.
Exactly.
And we see that a lot as agents. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, where people are just waiting outside, and I don't know if it's because maybe most people don't know the process.
Oh, yeah. So on that note, for people buying their first home, especially Latinos and young professionals, what's one thing they should absolutely know before they even start looking?
Absolutely no. I think just the education part of it, you know, because there's a few things that go into it, right? Like your credit, your income, your savings. But it's just kind of getting a very basic understanding. So one of the biggest things that I see a lot is like credit, right? Some people, no, you don't, no uso credit cards. Like there's just no, I hate them. My parents told me don't get in debt, you know, but this is part of something that you need. You need your credit scores.
Or have you heard I just got a carro, you know, I'm making credit through that, right?
Yes.
I'm making credit through that.
Yes.
Can people actually make credit through that?
You can, but I can tell you right now that the best and easiest way to start building credit are going to be credit cards. Credit cards, whether you're an authorized user, whether you go and get a secured credit card through your bank, so like Chase, Wells Fargo, all these banks offer them, or getting added as an authorized user to somebody that you trust, all right? Because you want to be careful if you're putting your name on somebody else's finances, they miss a payment, they're late, you know, they get a collection, that falls on you too. But yes, technically, sure, getting a car will help you build credit, but you're also gonna, you know, knock yourself down with a pretty heavy monthly payment, which can affect you. So a lot of that I see too is I don't know, it's this company named Opportuno.
Oh, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, people always come to me, and that's the very first thing I see on their credit reports when they have no credit. Me dijeron que el Opportuno, you can build credit. Okay. Sure, but it's like now your payment's $300 a month, you know, so we got to be a bit careful there. But yes, credit cards, I will forever advocate for those. Those are the best way to build your credit.
So what do you recommend for somebody who doesn't know anybody with good credit? Like for us being first gen, like most of us, our parents, we are teaching them how to do stuff. We're leading the way. So what would you recommend for somebody like that?
Yeah, so if you're at zero credit, that's secured credit card. So if you don't have a bank account, start with a bank. Popular ones I know are Chase offers it, PNC, which is the bank I have, they offer it as well. But yeah, start with banking institutions. They generally, and secured credit cards are backed by your own funds. So they're not actually giving you a line of credit. You actually go and you know, you deposit some money in there. And as you start to build it, then you get into maybe applying for your own credit card. But yeah, if you're starting at zero, secured credit cards are probably the best way to go. Like you mentioned, if you don't know anybody with credit, but second best way, authorized user for somebody who already has a credit card.
I think I get a little bit of pushback with buyers when I say, hey, you're going to have to put a deposit, and they like freak out. And I'm like, hey, as long as you pay, you're going to be okay. But I think people freak out because they don't want to put that money, that investment into their credit.
Yeah. When you're talking the liquid cash, yes. I mean, I have people that have their money under the mattress, right? And that's the most secure place, which technically, I guess, right? I mean, it is, you know, because you never know what can happen with these banking institutions. But yeah, no, I definitely hear a lot about that.
I have a story about that.
Okay.
So I have a client. We rented his home, and then the tenants, They lit a candle for Dia de los Muertos in the closet,
Oh,
left it
no.
unattended. House burned down. They come to my client and they say, "Hey, can we go and look at the house?" And the fire people were like, "Yeah, no, you can't. You know, it's not safe." And they told my client, they were like, "Well, we had cash inside the drywall."
No.
Okay,
Drywall?
cash. Yeah, and I was like, they said they had like, I want to say it was like more than 10 grand. And my client's telling me like, "Hey, Nayeli, what do I do?" And I'm like, "Well, that's none of your business, my guy, because
Jeez.
one, why would you keep that in the drywall? Two, why did you leave that candle unattended? Like, you know what? You just screwed yourself twice, and that's really on you. So please, people, if you're listening, do not put it underneath your mattress or in the drywall, especially if it's a rental, and especially if you don't know how to turn off your candles.
Yeah, drywall's a new one. I haven't heard that one. That's
Yeah,
like Pablo
yeah.
Escobar right there.
Who
like,
knows? I
you
didn't ask any questions. I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Jeez, that's terrible. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it, guys. No drywalls, no mattresses, please.
Okay, we're switching it up. So this is confession time.
Oh, no.
So what's one crazy thing or unexpected or funny moment you've had so far in your lending career?
Okay. All right. You had me going there. I thought you were going to ask me something different.
Or
Okay.
I don't know. Give us the
Where
crazy.
could that have
We're
led?
here for
In my
the
lending.
tea.
Okay. No, I actually do have a pretty crazy story, but I will be a little bit nice about this because I think the person might have been dealing with some other stuff. But so they the realtor refers me. I meet with the client. They come in. Seem like a nice person. They sit down. So I start going through the application. Hey, what's your name? So then I get to the job part. Like, hey, where do you work? What do you do? Oh, well, I sell cobijas. Like, okay, so you work for cash, self-employed. Okay. Have you claimed, income on your taxes? No, I don't claim taxes. Okay, well, you know what? There are programs, so actually, little side note, there are programs for people that have businesses and don't, claim their cash on their taxes.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
we'll go back to that.
So we'll
Yeah.
get to that. But,
Interesting.
yeah, so I started telling them, like, okay, well, can you prove that, you've been having this business for at least 12 months? No, I don't have any proof. I'm here to buy a house, and that's all I want to do. Okay, well, I start trying to explain the process. Hey, look, well, I need either some proof of income. I need like bank statements. Like, where does your money go? Oh no, I get it in cash, and then I just spend it. I'm like, okay, well, do you have any savings then? Let's, down payment. No. Listen, I don't think you're understanding. I'm just here to buy a house. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Unfortunately, like, unless I have like proof of income, savings. She gets up. And I can tell she's frustrated, right? I can tell, like, all right, I mean, I get it. I'm sometimes telling people no isn't the easiest thing, but she gets up and she's like, are you not listening to me? She's like, and she's dead looking at me. She's like, and I'm just like, ma'am, I'm trying to explain. So then she starts pacing the room and she starts like mumbling to herself, this guy doesn't, can I cuss on this podcast?
Yeah,
sure.
Okay. Well, this
Sure,
guy
maybe
doesn't-
we can just leave it out.
Oh, okay. This guy doesn't effing get it. Like, she's talking to herself while I'm just sitting in my chair, like, trying to adverse her file because I know this isn't going to go anywhere. And then she turns around and she's like, starts screaming. Like, I'm talking like, do you not understand that I'm here to buy an effing house and you better help me because I had to get a ride to come here. So in my mind, I'm okay. So no car payment. That works. All right. So you don't have to
Yeah,
worry
good,
about a car
positive.
payment.
You're getting, yeah.
I'm still
I
in
love
my.
that.
I'm
I
still in
love
my
that.
Calculating.
I'm still thinking like, okay, but at this point I'm just like, all right, ma'am, like, look, I think we need to maybe reschedule or something. I don't have a ride. I cannot come here. I'm gonna hurt you. And then that's what I'm just like, all
Throw
right.
hands?
So now I'm like, now I kind of adjust myself. I'm like, all right, ma'am, like this can't go any further. But by this time, other people in the office had heard and they're just kind of gathering around. And luckily she calmed down and I think she kind of got it and she just left. And I never
my
heard
God,
from her
thank
again.
God.
So, I mean, if you're out there, I can still help you, right? 12 months of bank
Yeah,
statements,
I mean,
No violence.
Yeah.
please.
P&L loan,
We got you.
Did she at least give you like a tigre cobija or something?
I don't know,
No, she didn't leave a
didn't
deposit
get
or
a
anything.
chance, didn't get a chance to ask. But no, yeah, that was, I think, the only time that I've had somebody like, I don't want to say that she was going to get physical, but it was getting there. And I'm just like,
That's tough.
Let's go back to these loans you're talking about.
yes.
Because I know a lot of people that just started their own business and they don't even like file their taxes or stuff like that,
Yes.
but are thinking of buying. How can we help them?
Yeah, so there's products out there called non-QM, non-qualified mortgages. So these are mortgages and loans that aren't your typical conventional FHA, USDA, VA. These are more for normally banks. They're called portfolio banks, where they keep the loans that they originate. So what happens is they have the opportunity and are very flexible to qualify you, whether it comes to 12 months of bank statements. So the bank will look at, what money you've been bringing in from the business, but they also look at what's going out. So that's one way you can get qualified. Sometimes people with ITIN that don't, sometimes they're out there working with socials. You didn't hear that from me, but we can qualify them off of just the verification of employment only. So they don't have to show any pay stubs. They don't have to show any W-2s. It's just a straight verification of employment. But generally, these I do need you to be there at least 12 to 24 months in order to qualify for things like that. There's a P&L loan where they will only qualify you based off of your profit and loss statements. The one thing that I do need people to understand, though, is that generally because these programs are very flexible in the way that you qualify, they tend to hit you a little bit higher for the rate. And then generally down payment's a little heavier. 10, 20, percent down. Also look at your credit. And then there are no down payment assistance programs here. So you can still do the seller credit thing, but it's just that, there's no like state or county programs usually that work with these because they do want socials usually for down payment assistance. Yeah. So ITINs, things like that, you can definitely still qualify for.
That's awesome.
So a lot of options out there. Yeah,
you just have to have the money. Make sure you have it in the bank, right? Because I would assume that they can just bring like a box full of cash, right?
I mean, we'll see what we can do.
We'll
see what we can do.
I have one of my family members reached out and was like, "Hey, I have X amount." It was a really large number, and I was like, "Can you help me buy a house?" And I'm like, "Girl, what are you doing? Like, you need to put that in the bank."
I tell people, look, just come take a seat. Let's talk. Bring your box full of money.
You know what? I'm gonna send her over to you because
there you go. I need to make sure you have it. But we definitely have a lot of options. There's a lot of ways. Guidelines. There's things that we can do. We always do it the right way, though, right? We're not here to do anything other than we're not supposed to.
FBI is watching our.
Does the process take? I'm assuming the process takes a much longer once you're under contract.
No,
because your typical loan closes in like 30 days.
How dare you? 21 days? No, kidding. Minimum 30. But no, we have a very good team here, so we can we run into situations where your offer will only get accepted if it's 3-week closed, and we jump on top of it. But no, even with those loans that I just mentioned, they're typically still 30. And I don't know if this is going to segue into anything else, but this is where the pre-approval becomes very important, right? This is where when we sit down, we make sure that we lay everything out, make sure that we have everything right. And then we go off and now you get your pre-approval. But if I see during the pre-approval that you got to season your cash or, you need 6 months to hit your 2 years, then it's like, all right, maybe let's, pause for a bit, come back, later. Because hopefully you guys have never had a pre-approval issued where they didn't verify assets or work history,
I have had it.
Little basic things.
I have PTSD till this day.
Okay, well, this is the confessions show, so, let's hear it.
I have PTSD. I had this one, I started, when I first became an agent, I had this one lender who was just pre-approving everybody, right? We got under contract, and then he's like basically like, oh no, wait, we can't close. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't close? And I had this great deal for my client. I felt so bad. Jeez. And then after that, that's why I'm a psycho when it comes to like pre-approvals. Yes. Is where I like do a lot of the pre-approval process myself, because I don't care how good you are. I'm not going to take the chance on any of my clients for them to lose, because once you do that, you go out, you look at houses, you're losing your deposit, your inspection. Your inspection money, you're losing your appraisal if you paid for it, and then you get to closing and you can't close. Like, that's about $1,000 that you just threw down the drain because your lender didn't do their job. And it's like, I trust you to do your job. I'm doing my job. And so after that, like, and this was like my second or third transaction. Oh, no. I was just like, I don't trust anybody.
You went and took the LO test. And,
No, I mean, I'm this close. I told my attorney, I was like, don't you ever screw me over, because I will go and get my law degree.
Oh, there you go. I will. There you go. Yeah, so now you guys know, if you use Nayeli as your realtor, you get 2 loan officers and a real estate agent. That's awesome.
And also pharmacist.
Look at that.
You add some drugs.
And she'll give you medicine for your stress. That they're
no, actually, that's another. Sorry. You know what? Let's just move on to the next thing, because I can talk for days. Let's go.
What's the biggest myth or misconception you constantly hear about getting a home?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot, right? But the biggest ones that I'm seeing is, of course, the down payment. You know, I need a large down payment. I need 20% down. Just so everybody knows, first time buyers, 3.5%.
And what's does the average look like?
What's that, the average of down payment?
Yeah.
So for first time buyers,
couple thousands. What, like, number wise? What are we
oh,
talking?
okay. Excuse me. Yeah. So it'll always go off of the price of the home, right? So 3%, 5% off. You know, 100,000, 200,000, what you're looking for. So yeah, anywhere from 5, 6, 7 up to 10. You know, I mean, of course, if you're getting into these, 400, 500, price points, it does get a little heavier. But yeah, typically first time buyers 3 to 5%. The other one is running my credit is going to hurt my credit. Now, technically, yes. If you go and run your credit 5 times with 5 different banks in one day, sure, you might get dinged for points. But the one thing that I will forever want to stress, and I'm going to look at the camera when I say this, when it's time to buy a house, that's when you want to run your credit. Not when Macy's is offering 20% off. Not when, Starbucks is offering you a credit card. It's when you're making one of the, I'm assuming one of the biggest purchases of your life. I'm not going to say the most because I don't know, you might buy a yacht next year or something, right? But running your credit is when you want to, you want to run your credit when you're buying a house. That's definitely number one. Another myth, I need perfect credit to buy a house. Now, I will also stress this again. The better the credit, the better the terms, right? When it comes to interest rates, down payment, things like that. But no, I mean, we're as low as 580 for FHA, 620 for conventional. You don't need perfect credit. You definitely can still qualify, but again, check your credit and make sure that, you're where you need to be or you can get to where you want to be to buy a house.
And then I think, so I actually hate this, like, first time when people are like, oh, I'm a first time home buyer. Disclosure, I hate it. I think that we need to do a better job of educating people of what that really means. Yes. Because it's not what people really mean.
Right. Yeah. So, and to kind of go off of that, being a first time buyer doesn't guarantee you down payment assistance. Being a first time buyer doesn't guarantee you, minimum down payments, because if you're a first time buyer that got a credit card when you were 18 and you'd never paid it, now you got stuff on your, on your credit report. Maybe now that's affecting you, years later. So keep in mind, guys, I mean, if you take a credit card out and you don't pay it, it's going to be on there for a good while. Sure, you can go through these programs and all this and pay all this money to get a 250 credit card that you should have just paid. But yeah, you want to be careful with things like that. So first time buyers, you do get a lot of benefits. There are, again, lower down payments to help you out sometimes with mortgage insurance. But yeah, it doesn't automatically qualify you for the best, most wonderful loans just because you're a first time buyer.
And then also, like, the first time home buyer thing is not really so much more special than a regular buy, because I can buy with 3% down, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's definitely something that, again, first time buyers, there are benefits, but yeah, whether you're first or repeat, you can get some really good deals. But again, it's just reaching out, asking the questions, and seeing what kind of incentives are out there.
So I think what I got from your conversation is that everybody who is thinking about buying a home, even if it's not today, maybe they should get qualified with you so that you can build a plan.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Yeah. The and then again, this goes back to the credit pull. So the time to pull your credit, sure, 6 months, 12 months. I'm buying next year. Fine. Set the plan now, right? Get ready now, because I get it. Your uncle knows more than me, right? I get it. Your neighbor knows more than me. But at the end of the day, you're going to come to me, and I'm going to I'm going to lay it out and let you know, like, what it is that you need, right? Sure, 15 years ago, rates were 2%, right? But in today's market, you have to be ready for today.
Ellie, and you?
Yes. Only hit up us for, please. But no, yeah, in all seriousness, it's just, getting the information that you need that's specific to you. Because if you message me and say, hey, how much down payment do I need as a first time buyer? My brain's going to automatically go to, 3 to 5%. But what's my down payment as a first time buyer when my credit is, a 580, my answer is definitely going to change. But what you definitely want to do is just make sure that you're reaching out to professionals that work in the field, and what I would even say is if you're not a very trusting person like me, right? If I'm trying to buy something, I'm not going to go to the car dealer because I know they're going to try to sell me stuff, right? But maybe just ask around, maybe find out people that own homes. Hey, who did you use for your who was your agent, who was your lender, who did you go through, to just kind of at least get with somebody who helped somebody, right? Because I get it, if it's a brand new, They're just a salesman. I know that sometimes I'm looked at as just a salesman, which is completely understandable. But just reaching out to people that have gone through the process or have been helped. That's, I think. But number one is just questions. Ask questions. I know you're going to have a million questions. I hate that the only question is what are the interest rates, because that is going to be completely irrelevant if you can't qualify, right? But it's just knowing where to start. What credit do I need? What documents do I need? Who do I need to talk to? Because it might be me, it might be a different bank, just depending on what you're looking for. So yeah, just
so how can somebody who's watching this or listening to this, how can they reach you?
So I am very active on social media right now. My Instagram, IL Noriega, and then my Facebook, Aaron Neuroga. You can also call me, 815-592-2786. You want my email too?
Yeah, you guys can
Yeah.
text. You guys can also text, right?
Yes,
we're
yes.
like, where if you're socially awkward,
Yeah.
like myself, you can always text as well.
Are you socially awkward?
I am
I've
super
never seen
socially
that about
awkward.
you.
I'm pretending to be normal right
Are
now.
you? Oh wow, you're doing a great
I'm really
job.
good at it, right?
Doing a great job.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, please. And also, if you guys reach out to the realtors, I know they're gonna send me your guys' information and numbers. I'm just kidding. But no, yeah, just reach out. However you see me. I'll make sure that our information's at the end of this video and all that. So.
All right, awesome. And then what about you, Rosalind? If somebody wants to call you about commercial, how can they reach you?
Instagram us, Real Estate Rosalind. Are we gonna ask the three nuggets or? Yeah,
I mean,
that would be our closing. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut it. But okay, give us food recommendations. A place we've never heard of. We all consider ourselves foodies. Give us a place.
Yeah, sorry.
Best
this is
food
like
ever.
The end of our segment.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
now we want to know
Well,
where
we can
should we
edit
go?
this
A
and
good
stuff.
rec.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so I think this one might be easy because I don't think either of you are. I mean, I'm sure you've probably been to Joliet, but you guys don't. Oh,
No, we
wow.
don't. Sorry, we don't hang out
Don't
there.
give me that.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Family out there.
Okay, well, there is a place in Joliet called Casablanca. It is a taco place, and when you go there, you're gonna ask for the Tampiqueña tacos.
Okay.
This is something that you might have had Tampiqueña before in the past, but I'm telling you, not like this. So, Casablanca, Joliet, off of Collins Street.
Is it one of those like Marquetita and Taqueria?
Yes.
I think my family owns that one.
Stop it.
I swear to God.
Your family owns that?
Yeah, they're from
Okay.
Durango.
Oh, we just came.
Small
That's
world.
Right.
Small world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it next to
that.
Comales?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's next to Comales, right on Collins Street. But yeah, it is a little tiendita. And
Yeah,
then on the other
pegadas.
side, it's
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well, we
Small
just
world.
became best friends. Look at that.
Shout out to my tia.
Now I need to meet you.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Who's someone that you look up to in business and why?
who do I look up to in business and why? It has to be my brother, hands down.
Oh, that's sweet.
From growing up, just watching, he was kind of like my little test hamster, so I would see things that he did, and I'm like, all right, I'm not doing that, or I'm absolutely doing that. Or it was, I'm not doing that, but I still did it anyway because I only learn when my hand gets burnt, right? But no, when I started, I joined his team right away, because it was, it was the obvious thing to do. But going through the things that I've gone through in this business, I sometimes sit back and think to myself, what if I didn't have my brother, going through this, right? What if I couldn't call him and ask him for that advice? I probably would have quit 2 weeks in, because I'm sure you guys can attest, this can be a very, very stressful business. And sometimes you don't have that help that you need or you require. And, when you're looking left and right and nobody's there to help, what do? You know? But yeah, no, most definitely my brother, shout out to him, shout out for him making the team and putting us in a position where, coming from, like you guys mentioned, immigrant parents, all we knew was go to school or go get a job. And the job was just a job, right? You just need to be working. So we didn't know lending existed. We didn't know loan officers existed, but he opened up that world for us. And I think it's just in the future, it's going to put us in a much better position. So definitely my brother.
That's awesome.
I love that.
We also want a life nugget, like a overall nugget in life.
A life nugget.
Yeah, do you have like a life quote or something?
Yeah, no, and actually, this
Like
this
that.
just came into it was brought up recently, but if you never ask, the answer will always be no, right? So
true.
this can be
like
applied
that.
to whether it's business, whether it's your crush on Instagram that you want to hit up, right? If you don't take the time to go and explore and say, hey, can you be my buyer? Can I help you sell your house? Can I help you do your loan? The assumption will always just be no. you know, and especially if they start talking to you a certain way or they start asking certain questions. So definitely just always ask. Is my
Good advice.
nugget.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a great way to wrap this episode up.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for coming out
Thank
today,
you guys.
Aaron,
Thank you guys.
and for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this come out and post it everywhere. Thank you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you guys like today's episode, don't forget to give us a like and hit that follow button and share this to a friend or a family member that might enjoy this podcast or can get a little nugget out of it. We'll see you on the next one.